All right, everyone. What is going on? This headline is a little confusing because my understanding is, last I heard, breaking news, Donald Trump and Biden had agreed to a debate. But I guess now that's changed. Biden issues a challenge to Trump as he withdraws from traditional debate dates. So is Biden going to debate Trump still, but on a different date? I'm confused. This is the most recent video about this. So hopefully this is up to date on everything, because I am so excited to see these two old men fight.
All right, we have some breaking news for you. The Biden campaign says it is willing to debate Donald Trump, but under certain terms. CNN's Arlette Saenz and Jeff Zeleny joining us now. Arlette, what are they saying about this debate that Biden is now saying?
I don't like that. I don't like doing that. Like, when I try to do a debate, I rarely try to set terms because it makes you look like you're afraid of losing. It doesn't matter whether or not that's the case. It just looks that way. That's all that matters. Just looks that way. So demanding there be no ad homs makes it look like to Trump supporters, oh, they're telling Trump he's not allowed to do the thing we love him for. That's not going to be effective. I'm like, you have to remember, Hillary Clinton wasn't right to say it, but she was right. Trump supporters are a basket of deplorables. They take joy and pride in the fact that they love the guy who is a villain, right? They like being the bad guy. They like being evil. And so moralizing them and trying to optics them and being like, oh, that's mean, isn't ever going to work.
And you'll do.
Well, Sarah, there is some major news from the Biden campaign this morning as they are saying that they are willing to debate former President Donald Trump 2 times. And one of the top campaign officials, Jen O'Malley Dillon, sent a letter to the Commission on Presidential Debates saying that President Biden will not participate in the debates that they currently have scheduled. Now, Biden himself released a video just moments ago where he said that he will debate Trump 2 times in this upcoming election. Take a listen to what the president had to say.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. And since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays.
Bro issued a call-out post. What the fuck? Holy shit. Biden straight up, said, it's on site. Meet me outside of the Waffle House at 3 a.m.
Now, the Biden campaign is saying that they want to have debates held earlier in the process. This letter that was sent to the Commission on Presidential Debates from Jen O'Malley Dillon outlines a request for the president and Trump to debate twice in this election cycle, once in June, once a former President Trump's criminal trial up in New York ends, and then another time in early September. One of the items that they are pointing to is the fact that they want to have these debates play out before early voting begins and ends in many of these key battleground states. Now, Biden has been saying that he is willing to debate Trump.
Chad, I have a question. If Hunter Biden offered you some crack, would you smoke it? Like, if he was just like, oh, you've never had it before? Here, try it. Come on, try it. Just once. Just try it. Would you do it? I think I would. Yes? Yeah. No? What do you mean? You wouldn't do crack? What are you, a pussy?
Just last week here at the White House, he was asked by a reporter when he would hold that debate, and he said set it up. In an interview with Howard Stern just last month, he said that he's happy to debate Trump, but really didn't get into the details of exactly when. But we will see what the Trump campaign has to say going forward. Trump himself has also called for earlier debates. The Republican National Committee had previously voted not to participate in CPD debates, but certainly even as the Biden campaign is putting forward some suggestions, this will all have to be agreed to by the Trump campaign as well. But President Biden, in this new video this morning, making clear that he wants to debate Trump twice, even as the CPD had scheduled 3 debates to occur in the fall.
All right, Arlette Saenz, thank you. Jeff Zeleny, I gasped when I saw the attack that Biden just made, saying, I heard you're free on Wednesdays, to former President Donald Trump, who is off of court on Wednesday.
That was really good then. Wait. Why why do why do Biden why do Biden's best like gotchas, Biden's best like quips are all really deep cuts I have to explain. So like obviously that goes hard as fuck, but another good example of a Biden W like quip that's a deep cut that just sounds like what the fuck? Wait, what did he mean by that? Until you actually know what he means, is this. I love this guy.
What do you think President Biden?
So this is a Fox News reporter being snarky to Biden about the inflation rate at the time, which is since, like, you know, not a problem anymore. Like, Biden's economy is insane. And he continues to be on a, like, trajectory for positivity. But this was a right-wing reporter being snarky with him, and his response goes really hard if you know that, like, all the whole, like, Biden inflation thing is just bullshit because the inflation stuff is because of Trump's handling of COVID, and they know that. His response here goes crazy.
What do you think President Biden inflation that? Do you think inflation is a political liability?
That's a great asset. More inflation. What a stupid son of a bitch.
You might be confused by that if you don't know the context, but the guy was like, oh, do you think inflation is going to be a liability for you in the midterm? And he said, nah, more inflation. It's an asset. What a stupid son of a bitch. Like he was being sarcastic and like sassy with them. If you saw that clip and didn't know about the whole like Bidenomics thing and what's actually going on, you don't know how good of a deep cut like gotcha that is or response that is. But if you know, then you know. It's a bit like a Dracula flow line, you know? Like a Dracula flow line, if you get what he's referencing, will literally kill you with laughter. But if you have no idea what the fuck he's referencing, unless it's so absurd and funny sounding that you laugh anyway, it might miss. Like some of the lines miss, right?
What do you make of this, and what might this mean? Because on the one hand, they're saying, yes, we want to do 2 debates, but we don't want to do what is already potentially in place.
Well, Sarah, you picked up on the shade there that President Biden was throwing to his rival, but let's translate that a little bit. What this means is, as Arlette was just explaining, this is very significant. It means that one central question that's been hanging over this rematch, are there going to be debates? And President Biden now firmly saying, yes, he will agree to 2 debates in June and early September. We will see what the Trump campaign says to this, but at every
I hope they just write up a massive list of like insults at Donald Trump. Like I hope the rules are no ad homs, so Trump doesn't think up of like anything good up, like on the build up, or doesn't agree to it. He probably won't agree to it in that case. But like I hope they have a bunch of ad homs planned to blindside Trump with, you know, just like so Trump. After your 3rd divorce, you know, like just hit him with like constant gotchas, just a massive list of all his most embarrassing things to mention in the debates.
Every recent Trump rally, there's been an empty podium that says anytime, any place. So Donald Trump is out there saying he will debate. Interesting in this letter, as we were just reading it here from Jen O'Malley Dillon, a top campaign advisor, sort of outlining all of this, also saying one-on-one debates only. So that would exclude, if this comes to pass, that would exclude a debate with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And of course, that is a central question as well hanging over this campaign.
Dude, I gotta talk about RFK Jr.'s brain worms. That's gonna be another topic. The worms! The worms! The worms!
Is this going to be a one-on-one contest, or is this going to be a debate where he is allowed to participate? So all these things, of course, will have to be worked out. But very significant, the timing of this. And one of the reasons for that, really the timing of voting has changed in America. Voters now are going to the polls much earlier, in some respects a month before the traditional election day, if you will. So the earlier schedule that was laid out by the Commission on Presidential Debates, I was just looking it up, the earliest one was supposed to be September 16th, followed by September 25th, with the final debate on October 9th. Now, under this new plan that President Biden's team is proposing, the debates would be over by then, one in June, one in early September. So we will see how the invitations for these debates come forward if the Trump campaign agrees. But those are the significant things: earlier debates and a one-on-one debate. With that shade thrown in, we hear you're free on Wednesdays. Perhaps a bit gratuitous because they said after the trial is over here, but that is certainly the state of things here. The debate over debates is just beginning, but it looks like we likely will have debates in this presidential campaign, Sarah.
I think we can expect a response in 3, 2, 1 from Donald Trump on social media at least.
That was actually really good. Yeah. Bro does not get off Twitter. Like, how the fuck? How is Donald Trump doing all the things that he's doing? Because he's doing a lot of shit. Like, Donald Trump is, like, terminally online, but he also does stuff. Like, he's out golfing, and he's, like, committing crimes and stuff, and, like, you know, allegedly sexually assaulting women. Like, how is he got time to tweet and grab women by the pussy? How's he do it? How's he do it?
And Jeff Zeleny, thank you so much for that new reporting. Again, we're just hearing this breaking news that President Joe Biden says he will debate Donald Trump twice, but he wants it to be one-on-one, and there's some other conditions. John?
As soon as June, which is remarkable. And I have to say also, I'm not sure that was shade as much as like a full moment of totality. That was a full-scale blackout from President Biden toward Donald Trump there in that video. What is the state of the race right now? Perhaps what's the background to this challenge from President Biden to Donald Trump? By that, I mean, where do the polls stand right now?
I would pay so much money just to see and hear Biden say, "Haters in shambles, they stay picking the corn out of my shit." The amount of money I would pay to hear Biden say that with his full chest into the microphone in a podium in front of the White House, bro. Oh, I need it.
With us, CNN senior data reporter Harry. And Harry, look, you've caused a little bit of a stir on social media the last few days merely by reporting what the swing state polling has shown, which is President Biden trailing Donald Trump in the key swing states. How much can things change between now and then?
Yeah, a lot. I'm not sure how much can change between now and June, but there's a lot that can change between now and the general election. So I just want to go back through history and note polls are a snapshot in time, all right? So I went back since 1972. How far are the polls off at this point? On average, they're off, get this, by 6 points. They've been off by as large as 15 points. Michael Dukakis was ahead of George H.W. Bush at this point in 1988 by high single digits. It was actually... Do
you guys remember in 2020 when Trump was projected to win in like the majority of polling for months and months and months before the election? The fact is that this polling is not very accurate, considering the majority of Biden supporters, despite how good he has been, are not enthusiastic to vote for him. And so they're not very likely to like reflect that in these polls. They're not very likely to take part in these polls. Trump supporters on the other end, they're absolutely going to take part in this shit because they are the most fanatical supporters of any candidate ever. So obviously there's going to be a bias where the majority of Biden's support is not going to be seen until election night. Hell, it's not going to be seen until late into election night because so many Democrat votes, majority, tend to be mail-in ballots, which are counted a little later. Not like super later, but like a little later. Like to give you an idea, like vote counting and reporting will start at like, 8 p.m. on the West Coast, if I remember correctly, maybe 6 p.m. And by like 10 or 11 p.m., the mail-in ballots start getting counted. And you start to see things really swing in favor of the Dems once the mail-in ballots get counted around 10, 11 p.m. At least that's how it was last election. I covered it. I stayed up all night. I stayed up well until the sun was up, until we knew, yep, Biden's got this.
George H.W. Bush, who won by high single digits.
And I will this time, too.
And keep in mind, Trump's only up by a point at this particular junction. So the fact is, the polls can shift a lot. Yes, Joe Biden is in trouble, but we'll see where we are a month, 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, 6 months down the road.
And when it comes to battleground polls in general, how accurate are they?
Yeah, so this is looking at the national polls at this point in time. What if we looked at the battleground polls on the day of the election? All right, so go back again since 1972. They're off by an average of 4 points. They're off by an average of 4 points. In 2020, they were a little larger. The error was a little larger. It was 5 points. And of course, most of those polls underestimated Donald Trump. The key thing to keep in mind here, in those pivotal battleground states in the Great Lakes, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Donald Trump is ahead, but only by between 1 and 2 points. So yeah, you would consider him favored. But if there's one lesson we've learned over the last few cycles, John, it's do not take polls to the bank, especially when the margins are as close as they are right now.
And who do the polls tend to be wrong for?
Right. So one of the
Basically, you can't really call it for Trump or Biden at this point. It is terrifyingly a toss-up.
chief complaints that Biden and the Democrats have was in 2022, the polls underestimated Democrats, right? In 2020, it was Republicans. In 2022, Joe Biden, the Democrats like to argue that the polls underestimated Democrats. Now, that was true in the key battleground states of Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, those major races. The polls on average underestimated the Democratic candidates by about 5 points. But if you look nationally, look at the national House vote, the polls actually underestimated Republicans by about 2 points. So I'm not necessarily sure you could look at 2022 and argue that the polls will somehow this time underestimate Joe Biden. The fact is the poll errors, John, go back and forth. They go back and forth within a cycle, and they go back and forth when you compare over a bunch of years.
Harry, great to see you this morning. I have to say, we're going to have much more on the stunning political development. President Biden challenging Donald.
I will say, Donald Trump, on his side of things, and the Republican primary side of things, is honestly struggling. Within the Republican Party, people who aren't in the cult, believe it or not, not every Republican or conservative is in the Trump cult. A lot of them, a whole lot of them, are getting off board and have been slowly draining away over time. I don't really see many people jumping on the Trump train. The Trump train feels like a train that everyone that was going to board it, for the most part, got on board years ago. And since then, the Trump train has been running on the people that have been on that train since. Maybe a few young people hit voter age and they become, I'm a young Republican, young college Republican, I'm with TPUSA, and they end up joining up with Trump and stuff, but that is very, very rare, overwhelmingly. So with that in mind, it just seems like, I don't know. It just seems like it could be a toss-up here. I don't know. We could see that Republicans have jumped on board because a lot of young people are a little more radical, and if they lean more conservative, considering certain social pressures this election, then who knows? It could be a lot of misinfo about Biden and the fact that he is the incumbent and sitting with a pretty majority of his presidency was not comfortable for people, even if it wasn't his fault, right? He inherited Trump's economy. And Trump inherited 8 years of Obama and was able to slide through most of his presidency on a very nice, high interest rate, stable economy, where people felt pretty safe for the most part during the Trump years. As bad as Trump was economically, most people felt pretty economically secure compared to now during the Trump years. And that had nothing to do with Trump's policy. It had everything to do with the fact that Trump inherited 8 years of Obama-era policy around our economy. Trump quickly got to work destroying this when he initiated a steel tariff against China that American consumers immediately had to pay for. So a bunch of things like cars and whatnot got it more expensive. Anything that had steel in it, like Chinese steel, not very cool. Not very cool. Turns out he was not a pro-businessman after all.
Donald Trump to a debate next month. As soon as next month, which would be, by my count here, the earliest general election debate we've ever had.
Absolutely. You go back to 1980, the one debate occurred in late October, I believe.
Yeah, whereas this is months before even the convention. So history making there. Sarah?
Guys, I'm going to be honest. I think Biden will probably sweep. Maybe not like a full sweep, but like I think Biden will probably win with a comfortable margin. And here's why. Abortion. For all the issues that are being talked about right now, every woman in this country, besides an extremely small sliver, their reproductive rights are on the line right now. Roe v. Wade going away is something that is not going to be forgotten. The people responsible for it are not going to be forgotten. And Trump is not going to be forgotten as the person who put those people into power. For all of Biden's flaws in many of these people's minds, even many conservative women might have to jump ship from the Trump train. Maybe not onto the Biden train, but off the Trump train, if for no other reason than the Republicans have overstepped on abortion, on contraception, just across the board. I think that the Republicans and their overreach on that issue might be what kills them in this general election. I think that's going to be the thing that we look back on and say, yep, had they not done that, they would have had Biden by the balls. That margin would have disappeared and gone straight to Trump. That is my prediction right now. That's what I think is going to happen. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, though, if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like. It really does help the channel a lot. It basically boosts me in the algorithm and ends up helping to suggest my content to a whole bunch more people, so I really, really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, consider subscribing, ring the bell icon, comment down below so you see more from me and YouTube boosts my content. Follow my social medias, link down below in the description if you haven't already so you can see more from me. And of course, if you want to support me financially, consider doing so by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or Patreon. You can also buy merch to the Streamlabs link down below, because, you know, nice merch. You should check it out at least if you're not going to buy it. And you should also consider joining my fan Discord. It is totally free. It's the main hub of my community. I host game events, watch parties, and I do call-in streams there, announce all my videos and new uploads there. So if you haven't already joined, please consider joining. I hope to see you there, and I hope you enjoyed.